Welcome to r/Askreddit, where we answer the question,
Dear r/Askreddit, people who separated/divorced within 1 year of getting married, when did you know it was a mistake? She went out for girls' night and met a new friend named Nicole at a bar. Started texting her a lot, then going to hang out now and then. We had a baby at home, and she kept trying to go hang out with this girl from another town over with no last name, whom I was not allowed to meet. His real name was Wesley. You thought I was a closeted lesbian? Ha! Joke's on you, I'm a cheating whore. A couple of weeks into our marriage, the sex started to physically hurt. I went to my OB, and after a test or two, she informed me I had contracted chlamydia. That's when I knew. Turns out, my newlywed husband had been banging his coworker for months. This reply, slow clap? When she pulled a knife a month in, I still stayed for a full year like an idiot. And then this reply, I knew someone who got pushed down the stairs as he was leaving girlfriend's house during an argument. Got up, went and packed his stuff up, and left. Unfortunately, he dumb. Turned his back on her at the top of the stairs again. I don't know how he didn't die or get hurt tumbling down a flight of stairs. Twice. Not me, but a friend of mine. They'd been married about 6 weeks. She had just moved in when they returned from the honeymoon, and she was rearranging furniture, organizing closets, etc. One day while he was at work, she started pulling some of his boxes down from a closet shelf to make room for her things, and a box fell down accidentally, spilling hundreds of pictures of child blank. Divorced the pedo after reporting him to the military police. They were both in the military. She decided she was in love with her stepbrother a month after we got married. I'm pretty sure I watched a preview of a scene with the same plot line last night. Not me, but my dad. He got back from his honeymoon and went back to work. He came home and something felt off when he walked in the door. She wasn't there when he got home from work, which was very odd for her since she got off work earlier than him and was always home when he got back. When she got back, he mentioned that it was out of the ordinary that she had been out and asked if she went somewhere. He wasn't accusatory, just curious because it never happened. But she dodged his questions at first. Eventually, after he got suspicious of her dodging a simple question, she admitted that she'd quit her job, and when he asked why, she said she didn't need to work. So she was planning on using him as her cash cow. He doesn't remember how the conversation went exactly since it was 30 years ago. He tried counseling and asked her to get her job back, but she always brushed him off and never took him seriously. He threw in the towel 7 months later and she started trying to fix things. But it had been 7 months of him trying to fix things and she had no interest. So he filed for divorce and went on to achieve his lifelong dream. He dated and then married his middle school crush, my mom, 28 years strong. Less than a year into actively trying to get pregnant, he got discouraged, gave up, and started staying out until 4:15 a.m. with his coworker. He posted selfies on her couch on Snapchat and even went as far as asking her to marry him once he could get rid of me. He had 2 biological children, my stepchildren, that he abandoned at home with me while he was out doing this. The icing on the cake was that on my favorite holiday, while holding my brand new baby nephew in front of his entire family, he told me he wanted a divorce. I was gone in 2 weeks, left him everything, and vanished. New number, new address, everything. Best choice I ever made. The thing I never understand about these stories is what woman looks at a guy and is like, this guy abandoned his 2 children at home and is cheating on his wife? Yeah, this guy's a keeper. My mother-in-law got married for the first time when she was really young. Left him a month later. Turns out he was a raging alcoholic. She had no idea because her family was super overprotective and they were never really allowed to spend time together alone before they got married. Who knew spending time with someone could be the key to knowing if they're a good partner? Not me, but my brother. We grew up on a ranch. Bro's girlfriend comes from the city, but during visits to the ranch, she dives right in, helping our mom around the house and participating in all the stuff we do. Horseback riding, ATVs, etc., and claiming and appearing to love it. Brother's so happy his city gal is compatible with the ranch lifestyle he grew up in, even though he's now working in the city and their life will be in the city. He just loved that she was able to connect with him that way and, more importantly, with his family. They date for about 18 months, make many visits to the ranch, and all is well. She insists that she wants to have her wedding at my parents' home. My folks go all out. Have both families there. Everyone has a great time. The next morning, we have a send-off breakfast for the couple. They head to the airport for their honeymoon. My mom and bride's mom are visiting afterward, and bride's mom mentions she's glad my mom had no hard feelings that her daughter and my brother will no longer be coming out to the ranch. My mom is like, "What do you mean?" Bride's mom says, "Oh, I thought Laura told you that having the wedding here was her gift to you. To have your son home one last time with all his family here." My mom goes white as a sheet. We all are stunned. We're confused as to whether my brother knows this, and more importantly, has agreed to this. My older brother, who has his own history of family drama, texts our big bros saying, "Is it true that this is your last time visiting mom and dad?" And big bro texts back, "What are you talking about?" Middle bro says, "Ask your new wife." Needless to say, the honeymoon never happens. It turns out that his wife had been hiding her belief that the man leaves his family behind and becomes part of the woman's family. It was fully her intent to never visit my parents again, to spend all holidays at her parents' home, to have any future children only have relationships with her family, and on and on. My brother literally had no idea that these were her beliefs and desires. To this day, I don't know if she was evil or just clueless. They remained married for about a month until the divorce was final, but my bro never saw her again after the day after the wedding day. As someone whose job it is to literally read weird stories on Reddit, this one is up there. I've never even heard of anything like this in my entire life. Is this like some sort of really weird specific religious wing? I don't know, it kind of sounds like a cult or something. A cousin of mine married someone who seemed like the perfect woman. They worked in the same store together, and he would brag about how his wife was getting promoted quickly in the company. A few months into the marriage, she tells him she's going out with friends for the evening. An hour or so later, my cousin gets a call from one of his friends. The friend saw her having dinner in a restaurant with the manager of the store that they both worked at. Once he confronted her about it, that was basically the end of the marriage. We dated for 5 years, but on the honeymoon, we had a big argument over my liberal use of sunscreen. She refused to wear any because of chemicals, and I liberally use it due to my ginger skin. We seriously argued over this for a good hour, and she refused to even go into the pool with me because of sunscreen chemicals. After a scuba adventure with her, she could hardly walk because she got so burnt on her legs, whereas my skin didn't change. She then tried to convince me that it was all my fault because I didn't force her to wear the sunscreen and that the honeymoon was ruined. It was then I realized I picked the wrong person. After a few more psycho arguments, mad at me because of something in her dreams, mad because I didn't remind her to bring an umbrella, I had to call it quits. I can't stay with someone who constantly blames me for their own problems. Luckily, no kids, and I got back everything I brought into the marriage. And when someone asks, "Didn't you have those type of arguments before you got married?" he responds, "The strange thing is, we didn't have those type of arguments before the marriage. As soon as the ring went on her finger, something changed in her." Best girlfriend I had to date at the time. I was in my late 30s, had never been married. Dated about a year. Got married. Shortly after, she asked to have her name on all of my assets. A few rental houses, current house, and some financial instruments, the cars. Not a problem, as we were married, I thought, but on a Wednesday, she insisted it be done by that Friday. I didn't have time to do that because work and a deadline. I could start it the next week, I said. She pitched a fit and said if I loved her, I would do it by Friday. I found this strange and decided not to start it and see what happened. She moved out of our bedroom into a guest room. Got cold around the house, told me she would move back into our bedroom when I finished getting everything done. At this point, I thought BS and told her so. I went to my family lawyer to seek advice. She advised me not to put anything in her name at this point. Gave me the name of a marriage counselor. She didn't want to go to counseling. She continued to live in the guest room. I took my lawyer's advice and did nothing about the assets. The long and short of it was, after 1 year of marriage, when on our anniversary she told me I didn't have her in my heart, I thought to myself, this is BS. About a week after that, I told her, if this is the way it's going to be, I'm not going to be married like this. She then told me, okay, so what are you going to give me? Yes, she said that. I consulted my lawyer on what a judge would come up with regarding community property for the past year. The number came up to 20 grand. I took that number and added about 20 grand and proposed that to her so we could make it easy. I was going to spend more than that in lawyer fees if it got ugly. It got ugly. A week later, I got served with papers. With all said in the complaint, when added up, she was going after $750,000 for 1 year of marriage. That turned into 1 year of divorce proceedings and 2 years of property settlement proceedings on what should have been a 2-hour problem. Judgment came. 215 points in the judgment. I owed her what would have been the community property, about 20 grand. But the judge awarded me attorney's fees. So, in net, she owed me about 30 grand and left her to go buy her own car. Turns out, this judge had worked her butt off through school to become a lawyer, and the same to become a judge by 40 years old. I was told by another attorney that normally this judge never gives attorney fees, but was so pissed off at the gold dig my wife attempted that she felt it was justified in this case. Even though I came out okay financially, it was an emotional train wreck to have this happen and go through all that. It's been 15 years since it happened. I wasn't dateable for about 2 years and now very happy with where I am and who I'm with. And then this reply in the comments. My mom is like this woman, a serial divorce digger. She divorced my dad when I was 6 and was extremely hostile with custody battles. One time, she withheld my sibling and I from our Friday evening with dad, not overnight, once every 2 weeks, because he showed me how to drink from the milk carton instead of using a glass. I'm in my 20s and she's on her 5th marriage. As an adult, I befriended 2 previous stepfathers to get their sides of the story. She gets married, accuses them of being emotionally abusive, and takes their savings. Paid for her boob job with one of them. I'm sharing all this to say that, man, do I love hearing your story. I yelled, duck yes at my screen reading the last 3 paragraphs. Edit, my mother's actual profession is a marriage counselor. I'm not ducking joking. Her last 3 husbands all have the same first name. I always joke saying, at least she knows what she likes. The day after the wedding, when he poked me in the chest and said, you're going to do what I say, whether you like it or not. Ugh, big mistake. And then the reply, this happened to both my aunt and my mother-in-law. Husbands-to-be were sweet as pie and super caring, totally charming, etc. Day of the wedding, after they say I do, it was like a literal light switch. I believe they both said something along the lines of, you're my property now, and you'll do as I say. And when they didn't, they were beat for it. I'm so glad they both got out, but it took my aunt 5 years, I believe, and my mother-in-law 10. She nearly killed me because she thought I was cheating from some text that went to my mother. Dude, maybe don't send dick pics to your mom. Not me, but my brother. And I think seeing her on top of her boss did the trick. She was just trying to get a raise. The day after we got married, when he slapped me across the face, hard and completely out of the blue. No argument, no conversation leading up to it, nothing. He said it wasn't that hard of a hit. He was just kidding around, and I was being overdramatic. He had never gotten violent with me while dating, but as soon as we got married, it was like a switch flipped, and he was a completely different person. It got worse very quickly, and I ended up filing for divorce 73 days after we got married. He begged me to have kids. I wasn't ready, but I thought he loved me. We had money, insurance, he was my high school sweetheart. 7 years together, first year married, why not? 2 miscarriages later, I caught him sending explicit messages to his best friend's girlfriend. As I read through the messages, I noticed the first one started with how horrific my miscarriages were. He thought I was infertile and was looking for a way out. Turns out there were issues on his end, not mine. I talked to him a decade later, and he thinks God punished him for what he did to me, and that's why he never had children. I have a daughter now. Karma is a bitch.
That was r/Askreddit. And if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe because I put out new Reddit content every single day.